Hi, everyone. We're here once again. I'm Megan Wagner. I'm here with Steve Pope, and this is a series of pretty amazing classes that Steve has been teaching. And this class is about the 10 Commandments Reimagined. And one of the things that Steve and I had talked about to do this course, to prep for this course, was that we've been taught a very controlled narrative about what the 10 Commandments mean. And even the word commandments, you've educated me to think about them more as sayings than commandments. So what we started to do was to really dial into each one of the traditional 10 commandments and to clear away a space for us to reimagine way more possibilities about what these sayings actually mean to us. So that rather than kind of a patriarchal commanding sort of thing, you helped us to clear the way to open our hearts and minds to a very different kind of understanding. Because to me, what you've taught me is that these are sayings of healthy living and
Yeah.
communal living with spirit and with nature. So one of the other things that we do in this class is that every time we start to move into one of the traditional commandments, we do a big clearing on any of the thought forms that we've that have been encrusted around the traditional commandments. And that's a really powerful part of this course. So Steve, please just elaborate your understanding of why we wanted to do this 10 Commandments Reimagined.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, it's a very important. It's very important that one of the things I wanted to bring up was that Megan, during each lesson, I think it's each lesson. If it's not each lesson, it's nearly everyone does a clearing meditation. And this is a really powerful thing to do because we have been so conditioned into believing that we are having to follow a patriarchal, authoritarian deity who demands our absolute obedience and love. And if we don't give that, then we are punished.
Yeah.
And as you brought up, one of the first things is they're not commandments, they are instructions for conscious living. And the idea that we live as a community and in communion with each other. This is the basis of holding the 10 instructions, is that we start from a basis of holy communion with each other as humans, and then we extend that out to our fellow creatures in the natural world. So another thing that you bring up when you're talking is because of this, we are introduced to the fact that there's a very strong feminine element to holding the 10 instructions
Right.
in a circle of life.
Mm.
And this is about understanding the sacredness of all life, all of it, the planetary consciousness, and all that arises in the natural world, all of our animals, plants, and all of the elemental energies that support us in our ability to live within this unfolding beauty, creative beauty of formation and its making.
That's such a different way than to be scared into behaving in certain ways. Because what you've just described is the difference between a list of
Yeah.
things we have to do versus a circle that actually enhances our lives and others. So that's the big reframe that happened for me in this class, that instead of going on a sort of distorted patriarchal list of things that I have to do to be acceptable to some external deity, rather it helped me to see that it's an invitation to really engage in life at a very deep level. That's a very different way of thinking about these instructions.
Yeah, and to your other point that you bring up, you've just brought up, is that it frees us from, gives us the awareness and the space to hear and see clearly people's intentions, and not to be susceptible to thought forms that seek to control us, or seek to make us afraid, or seek to take our energy. It's really, as we awaken, we are able to see very clearly the mind games that the unconscious human collective plays, and we're able to be aware of when people are being authentic, when they're out to manipulate not just ourselves as individuals, but the human collective and life itself, treating life as a commodity. So there's a lot in this, these 10 instructions that really, if we followed them, for example, we would never go to war. That's one of the things, because one of the sayings, which is commonly interpreted, "Thou shalt not murder," is "Thou shalt not wage war," right, which is something that we find very, very difficult to step out of, because it's a way of manipulating and controlling so many of us.
Yeah. What you're saying is, I think, is that the 10 sayings or instructions are giving us what I would say is a healthy psycho-spiritual, physical psycho-spiritual model of how to live as a human being and not get distracted by the distorted groupthink and thought forms and societal pressures. I mean, it's a healthy psychological manual for how to live a life without getting caught up in the predicament of the human ego. And that's what I found so compelling about this class.
Yeah, it's saying that, we, for example, just on what we would term gender equality, well, we are born equal. So the idea of subjugating one half of the population, i.e. those in female form, is counter to everything that is in the 10 instructions.
Yeah.
So we're taught not to manipulate each other. We're taught not to subjugate each other. We are asked, let's put it another way, to consider very deeply our connections with each other, with the natural world that we are steeped in.
Yeah.
And there is a reason for that, which is we're not here to get away from the physical universe. There's nothing evil about the physical universe. All of our problems are within the psychological, narcissistic, egocentric thought forms that arise within human unconsciousness, sorry.
Yeah, great. Well, I think that's a really good place to stop, because you've given us a really good flavor for what we're going to get in this class. So thank you so much. It's I really highly recommend this class to anybody who wants to rethink the 10 commandments into the 10 instructions. So thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.